Hello, I'm Chrissy Seaton and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is a continuation from the last one, which was with regard to Psalm number 42. Now, Psalm number 43 is actually a flow on from that. So while I don't normally do the Psalms from 1 to 150. In this case, it gives us more insight into both Psalms if I follow on now with Psalm 43. So if you haven't watched Psalm 42, I suggest you go and watch that video first on my YouTube channel, my Noahide family, and then watch this one, which is Psalm 43. All right. So let's get on with it. Now it says, this psalm is a direct continuation of the preceding one, number 42, as I've explained, and once again expressing a deep yearning for the redemption from the agony of exile. One of the sections, it goes on, says, the midnight recital of the devout Jew who pines for the end of the exile begins with these two psalms, as they tell of Israel's thirst for God and a return to his sanctuary. So here we go now, and I'll read Psalm 43 to you. Avenge me, O God, and champion my cause against an unkind nation. Deliver me from a man of deceit and iniquity. For you are the God of my strength. Why have you abandoned me? Why must I walk in gloom because of the foes' oppression? I mean, their enemies' oppression from the enemies. Dispatch your light and your truth. They will guide me. They will bring me to your holy mountain and to your dwelling, that I may come to the altar of God, to God, the gladness of my joy, and praise you on the harp. O God, my God, why are you downcast, my soul, and why are you disturbed on my account? Hope to God, for I shall yet thank him for the salvations of my countenance, and because he is my God. So it's a short psalm. So let's have a little look at and see what each of those verses refer to. So it says here, in Psalm, this is Psalm 43. Now we're going into verse 1. Avenge me, O God. Now our translation follows Rashi's suggestion, and but Midrash interprets that David's request to be judged by God alone, since he is able to forgive misdeeds, rather than to be tried in the heavenly court where judgment is more exacting. Goes on and says here the phrase, against an unkind nation. Now, this refers to nations whose natural inclination is adverse to the kindness and concern for another. And in this time that we're living in, we can see that played out daily. So it applies to deceitful hypocrites who try to appear kind, although they are actually cruel. I can think of some politicians that fit that description. Now, Hirsch specifies those nations who pay lip service to the concept of humane ethics, but do not consider the alien Jewish people worthy of common decency. It continues on, still on explanation for verse 1. Deliver me from a man of deceit and iniquity. Now, Malcolm applies these terms to philosophers who use faulty and deceptive proofs, so to speak, to contest the fundamentals of our faith. David asked for aid in not being drawn to their ideas. Accordingly, this refers to those traitorous Jews who left the fold and often oppressed their former co-religionists more than their non-Jewish counterparts. So look, there's turncoats in all walks of life. Although the psalmist is speaking of multitudes, it is not uncommon to use a singular term from a man, or he alludes to the leader of this group. So, now verse 2, the explanation, for you are the God of my strength. Now, when I was at the heights of my glory, you defended me with all your might. Why do you abandon me now when I am in exile? So, you can understand these questions going through his mind, can't you? Verse 3 continues and says, dispatch your light and your truth. Now, simply understood, this means enlighten me. Enlighten me with your salvation and be truthful by fulfilling your promise to lead us to your holy mountain. Now, Rashi interprets your light as a reference to the Messiah, who is likened to light, and your truth as a reference to Elijah, the trusted prophet. Now, according to tradition, Elijah will precede the arrival of the Messiah by 3 days, that is, in order to announce him. If Israel is especially virtuous, they will merit that Messiah and Elijah will arrive simultaneously. So Elijah could arrive first to make the announcement, but if Israel is particularly virtuous at that time, Elijah and the Messiah could arrive at the same time, simultaneous, without any prior announcement. This may be the allusion to the prayer, send Messiah and Elijah together without delay. Now, it continues on, still on verse 3, your holy mountain, your dwelling. Now, the former is Mount Moriah, the site of the temple, and the dwellings are the courtyards that are destined to be built in the third temple. So that's what that phrase refers to. Now, verse 4 goes on and says that I may come to the altar of God. Now, at that time, I will be able to bring offerings to God as in days of yore. Now, the previous altar was constructed by men, but the future altar will descend miraculously from heaven. And it goes on and says, thus the altar will truly be of God. Can you imagine witnessing that? Oh. It goes on and says, the gladness of my joy. Now, although the future redemption will be filled with signs of rejoicing, I will remember that God is the sole true source of my joy. And it says again, O God, my God. Now, although you are God, whose majesty and power extend over the entire universe, nevertheless, to me, you are a special role as my personal God. And that's how we should think of Hashem. We should say, Hashem, not only are you my loving Father, but you are my personal God. We have a personal relationship. Now, continuing on, this is just the last verse, number 5, where it says, why are you downcast, my soul? Now, the psalmist now repeats a refrain from the preceding psalm, because the two psalms have the same theme. The commentary is similar. So, this, as I said, is a shorter psalm, but it's action-packed, isn't it? It gives us tremendous insight into what is actually going to happen. The insight into whether Elijah comes first or to announce the Messiah, or whether they both come together. In the case of if Israel is especially virtuous, then the Messiah and Elijah will arrive simultaneous. No announcement, just come. No preparation, no nothing. They're there. So that's something to think about. And it says, emphasizes, send Messiah and Elijah together without delay. And I think we'd all agree with that. And then, of course, that we may come to this altar of God. Now, this is applying not just to the Jews, but the Gentiles will be, able to visit the temple. But just to think that that's going to descend from heaven. Just take some time after listening or watching this video just to just ponder on that. We think that we looked at our news channels every day for what have you, and they call certain things headlines. Can you imagine that headline? What a headline. Thousands of people saw, twinkling lights, and I don't know what it would be like, but one's imagination can go right, can't it? And to think that there will be people able to witness that. Maybe the whole world will. I don't know. But it's a joyous thought, isn't it? And we as righteous Gentiles, as Noahides, should be prompting the Jews to, look towards that. Is there anything we can all do collectively? And of course, we as Noahides know that everybody should understand the 7 Noahide laws, the righteous approach to living your life, for people who are non-Jews. And we've got to step up our standards and in promoting this as well. But I thought that was especially great, the 2 Psalms, 42 and 43. They do go hand in hand. And after listening to this, watching this video, go away and think that what can you do in your corner of the world to help hasten the Messiah? Well, I always say that action begins in the street where you live, in your local community. Your actions can change the scales from the negative to the positive. Just one act from one person can change that and hasten the Messiah. Please take care and God bless.